In March of 2026, a ship almost as long as 3 football fields slid out of a shipyard in Dalian, China. It's called Empire Hope. One trip and it can carry 2 million barrels of crude oil. That's about $100 million of cargo floating on steel. But Empire Hope isn't the real story. It's the clue. Because this one ship is proof of something much bigger. China now builds over 80% of the world's new oil tankers. The United States builds less than 1% of everything that floats. In the next 14 minutes, I'll show you how one country took over the entire global shipping industry, why almost nobody noticed, and why it might already be too late for anyone to catch up. Let's start with Empire Hope itself, because the numbers are almost hard to believe. It's 333 meters long, that's over 1,000 feet. Stand it up on its end, and it would be taller than most skyscrapers in a mid-sized American city. From the bottom of its hull to the top of its bridge, it stands nearly 20 stories high. It's classified as a VLCC, that stands for Very Large Crude Carrier. It's the biggest class of oil tanker still in regular use today. Once, ships got even bigger, called ULCCs. But those giants turned out too big for most ports and canals. So VLCCs became the ceiling. Empire Hope sits right near the top of that ceiling at 307,000 tons of carrying capacity. Here's a way to picture that. Empire Hope carries about 84 million gallons of oil in one trip. That's enough to fill somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 backyard swimming pools, all on one ship. And it's not old technology stretched to its limit. Empire Hope was independently designed in China, engine to hull. It runs on a 6-cylinder main engine with an exhaust system built to cut pollution. Engineers gave it a smarter hull shape and better matching between the engine and the propeller, so it burns less fuel for the same trip. It's not just bigger, it's more efficient than the tankers that came before it. The deck alone spans about 18,000 square meters. Picture roughly 3.5 soccer fields welded together, floating on the open ocean. And that deck sits on top of a hull that's 60 meters wide enough to park a dozen city buses side by side. One more number, just to sit with for a second. A loaded VLCC like this one takes between 5 and 8 kilometers to stop. That's up to 15 or 20 minutes of coasting before it comes to rest. A ship this size doesn't really stop. It just slows down, eventually, whether it wants to or not. Building something like this from scratch costs somewhere around $90 to $120 million. That's before you even load it with cargo. And here's the twist. Empire Hope isn't rare, it isn't even unusual. It's one of dozens of ships just like it, built in the same country, in the same year, by workers who've built so many of them that the process barely qualifies as remarkable anymore. So here's where it gets interesting. Empire Hope isn't a flagship project, it's routine. In the first half of 2026 alone, Chinese shipyards took in over 121 million tons worth of new orders. That's more new shipbuilding business than China booked in the entirety of 2025. And it gave China 82% of every new ship ordered anywhere on Earth. Read that again. 82%. Not 82% of tankers. 82% of every ship of every type ordered by anyone, anywhere in the world in 6 months. Zoom in on oil tankers specifically, and it gets even more lopsided. China's share of the VLCC market, the exact class of ship that Empire Hope belongs to, has crossed 90%. 9 out of every 10 of these massive oil carriers now being built are coming out of Chinese shipyards. This didn't happen by accident. Back in 2000, China built about 5% of the world's ships. That's it. Then the government made shipbuilding a national priority. State subsidies poured in. Steel got cheaper, ports got bigger, and shipyards that used to sit half empty started running around the clock. Today, one shipbuilder in China, a company called Hengli Heavy Industry, is investing close to $2 billion just to expand capacity that's already the largest in the world. China doesn't just win in tankers either. Its yards now hold over 80% of the market in dry bulk carriers and container ships too. Of the 18 major categories of ocean-going ships, China leads global orders in 15 of them. And it's not just about who's winning new orders, it's about who's already stacked up with work. By the middle of 2026, China's shipyards were sitting on an order backlog of over 363 million tons worth of ships still waiting to be built. That's more than 70% of everything the entire world shipbuilding industry has queued up. Whole fleets of ships that don't exist yet, already promised to Chinese shipyards for years to come. There's currently somewhere between 880 and 900 VLCCs sailing the world's oceans right now, moving crude oil between continents every single day. A South Korean shipping company called Sinokor operates the largest single fleet of them, with 78 ships. But look at who's building the replacements. It isn't South Korea, it's China, almost every time. The one place Korean shipyards still hold their ground is a narrower, higher-margin niche: giant LNG gas carriers. Everywhere else in the ships that actually move the bulk of the world's cargo, China has simply pulled away. So, who's losing? This is the part of the story most people have never heard, and it's the most shocking number in this whole video. The United States used to be the biggest shipbuilder on the planet. During World War II, American shipyards cranked out cargo ships by the thousands, so fast that new vessels were finishing construction faster than enemy submarines could sink them. Some of those wartime ships, called Liberty ships, were built in under 5 days from keel to launch, an assembly line pace nobody thought was possible for something the size of a building. For a while, America simply built ships faster than anyone else on Earth. Today, the US doesn't even crack the top 10. It ranks 19th in the world. In 2024, American commercial shipbuilding made up just 0.1% of everything built globally that year. A recent think tank report on the industry put it bluntly: America's shipbuilding decline now counts as a national security risk, not just an economic one. Here's the number that should stop you. In that same year, one single Chinese shipbuilder, just one company, delivered more commercial ship tonnage than the entire United States shipbuilding industry has built, combined, since the end of World War II. 80 years of American shipbuilding, outproduced by a single Chinese company in 12 months. Why did this happen? Mostly the US simply stopped competing. Government shipbuilding subsidies were cut in the 1980s, and American yards couldn't survive without them. Labor costs stayed high, facilities got old and were never replaced. Meanwhile, China kept building, kept subsidizing, and kept getting cheaper and faster with every passing year. The gap in price is staggering. A large commercial ship built in an American shipyard today can cost 4 to 6 times more than the exact same ship built in China or South Korea. There's even a law called the Jones Act that forces goods shipped between US ports to travel on US-built ships. It was meant to protect the domestic industry. Instead, it mostly just means Americans pay a premium to move cargo between their own coastlines on a shrinking pool of aging ships. Only 2 shipyards left in the entire United States are still capable of building large ocean-going commercial vessels. 2. For comparison, China builds more than 1,700 large ocean-going ships every single year. Put another way, in the time it takes the US to launch one new large commercial ship, China has already launched hundreds. Here's why this isn't just an economic story. It's a story about who controls the world's oil. VLCCs like Empire Hope aren't a side detail of the energy trade. They're the backbone of it. Most of the crude oil that moves between countries travels on ships exactly like this one. And if the country building 9 out of every 10 of those ships wanted to slow down, speed up, or redirect who gets access to new tanker capacity, it holds enormous leverage over the entire global energy trade without ever needing to touch a single oil field. That leverage isn't hypothetical either. In late February 2026, after the US and Israel launched military strikes on Iran responded by choking off shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. That's a narrow waterway that normally carries about 1/5 of the entire world's oil trade. Tanker traffic through it nearly stopped. By March, the world was losing over 10 million barrels of oil a day in supply, the single largest oil supply shock ever recorded, nearly double the disruption caused by the Iranian Revolution back in 1979. One narrow strait and the entire global energy market flinched. Now picture that same kind of leverage, but built into who owns and builds the ships themselves, not just who controls the water they sail through. That's the position China is quietly building toward. It's not only about oil either. The same shipyards building oil tankers are also building naval vessels. China's commercial and military shipbuilding run through many of the same yards, the same steel supply chains, and the same skilled workforce. A shipyard that can pump out cargo ships around the clock can pivot fast if it ever needs to build warships instead. That dual capability is part of why China now also operates the largest navy in the world by number of ships. The US government has noticed. In 2025, an executive order called it a national security emergency in order to plan to rebuild American shipbuilding capacity. But shipyards take years to build, and skilled shipbuilders take even longer to train. You can't order a new industrial base the way you order a new ship. So the next time you see a headline about a record-breaking ship, remember, it's rarely just about the ship. Empire Hope is one hull among thousands, proof of an industry China has almost entirely taken over while most of the world wasn't watching. A handful of decisions made decades ago, about subsidies, about who kept investing and who didn't, ended up deciding who builds the ships the entire planet depends on. But there's a piece of this story we didn't get into today, that narrow strip of water called the Strait of Hormuz, and how a single blockade there can send oil prices into a global panic within hours. No ships needed at all. If you want to understand the choke point that could bring the entire system to a halt with one closed waterway, that's a video I'm making next.